let's go to the replay thing for a little bit. Your thoughts on that?
I think that baseball has been around for 130 years now, and it's always had that human element, and that to me is the endearing thing about it. Is that there's nothing better than questioning another person about their opinion, and baseball exemplifies that to me. And by taking that away from them, I'm all for the home run, the replay, absolutely, but balls that are trapped, plays at first base. Those are all the calls to me that the only time that replays should be used is for interference. That's the only time.
Really?
Yeah, I don't.
It's funny, Dirk presented this argument to me, and I said, the game has been played by humans. It's based on human mistake. Pitcher misses, a hitter misses. The game is based on mistakes and how mistakes are made. That's what makes a baseball game. And my argument was it should be arbitrated by those who also have the ability to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess Dirk's argument was, well, why should they? How do the umpires factor into the game?
They factor into the game because they make every single decision.
You're right. But should their inability to make correct calls have the impact on a game by players? So it's an interesting, I guess, theory he has on it. And I think it's more of a big league player theory where he's thinking, well, hey, we're the players here. No one should wrong us, and this is how it should go.
To me, that's just off. It's one thing to say if you're going to say, well, we need to get with the times, or baseball needs to get with the times, and every other sport has instant replay. Tennis has got it, and that's fine. But those sports to me are not like baseball in the fact that baseball transcends every age. You're never too young, you're never too old to enjoy a baseball game, and part of that is seriously, it is the greatest thing to watch a manager come flying out of the dugout and getting in an umpire's face and yelling and screaming. Like Lou Piniella was the best at it, and I'll tell you,
yeah, he played for Lou.
There was a couple times he came out and he did his hat throwing antics and throwing bases and kicking dirt all over everybody. The Billy Martin style. Like that's where he came from, right?
Yeah.
He'd walk in the dugout and he'd be all upset and he'd still be angry and he'd look back and he goes, "That was a good one, huh, boys?"
On his way back.
On his way back in, yeah, exactly. And that's part of the game to me that I really enjoy, and having the ability or having that taken away from me, because now you're going to slow the game down, and to say that you're only going to give somebody a minute to make a decision, well, that's a minute longer on a game that's already long, and they're trying to cut down. Let's try different ways of cutting down the games, the time of the game. Stop batters from stepping out after every pitch.
They tried doing all that. And it's funny because, there was a situation with Grant Balfour in Oakland, in Toronto. I remember Eric Smith talking about it. Taking so much time between pitches. Get on the mound. Yeah. I thought there were rules in place for that.
Well, they have to enforce them, and that's been the hardest thing to do for umpires, is to enforce the rules that they have, because they don't. But that's where, okay, we're going to assess you a ball. Now all of a sudden you go from an even counter behind in the count. Now you're even deeper in the count, or you're ahead in the count, and then now you've given the opportunity for the hitter to succeed. However, just staying on the player or the pitcher that's stepping out, or the pitcher that's rumbling around the mound talking to everybody in their infield and their mother and making calls and all that crap that just slows the game to a screeching halt. Nobody wants that. Yeah. And the umpire, in my mind, should be able to just be chirping the player the whole time. Get back in the box, or yelling at the pitcher, throw the ball, we're ready, throw the ball. Or if the batter's sitting there waiting and call time, you go out to the mound one time as the umpire and say, "Bud, you got to get it together."
It's the only thing that works though is penalization.
Well,
if you're a pitcher and you know that you're going to take time every time, and now all of a sudden you're behind 2-0 on every count because the first two pitches you throw in at bat, you've taken 40 seconds between each pitch to do so. You're not going to do it anymore. You're not going to fall behind 2-0.
Remember the old days, umpires would do that intentionally. Just because you're a rookie, you better establish yourself. Okay, throw a gut bomb and, nope, that's a ball.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay, we got a tight strike zone tonight, right? And those are the types of things that umpires can do to affect the outcome of a game that they just do for the sake of doing to prove authority, and that's fine. As a player, I respect that, and I know that I've got to establish myself, and I've got to do the things that it takes to be successful, and that means repetitive hitting of a spot. You're not going to get that spot on the first pitch until you prove to me that you can hit it two or three or four times. Yeah. And that to me translates into the time that you spend on the mound is get the ball back. And there's nothing worse than watching a catcher give that lazy throw back, that big arcing rainbow, man, snap it back to him and let's go.
It's hard. You go back in baseball history and you think about Jeffrey Mayer and Tony Tarasco going up at the wall against Yankee Stadium on the home run that was interfered with. And you think about Don Denkinger in 1985 in the Kansas City-St. Louis World Series. And you think about Armando Galarraga and how the course of history in baseball could have changed. But it's funny because I'm of the opinion I kind of like the human element of it. Yeah. I'm a big fan of it. There are definitely arguments against it. Maybe increased replay. The time thing just drives me nuts. The NFL challenges things. What are you going to do? Throw an old sanitary sock out there? Here, timeout.
Yeah, you throw a rosin bag out on the field. Hey, you can't do that.